Partners on Main, a partner committed to your financial success. IBEW Local 531, the electrical professionals. Send to your bank, family owned since 1895. HealthLink, your community health center. The Right Group, the right way to buy and sell real estate. KIG Senior Solutions, navigating Medicare with confidence. Economy Electric Heating and Cooling, keeping you cool in the summer and cozy in the winter. Blythe's Team Sports, where the athlete shops. And Hampton Inn downtown Indianapolis. This is the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Everybody, we've got you covered here at the Region Sports Network. Kicking things off week 2 of the high school football season. Michael Brenner, Mascara alongside Matt. Week 2, we're seeing what happened in week 1. The teams have some film. They finally got out on the fields to try to figure out where their season's at. And now week 2 is a little bit about adjustments here, right? Okay, they saw what the mistakes they made, what they can improve on. Now it's time to capitalize on those.
Yep, get the first game jitters out, and like you said, improve on the things that you need to improve on, cut down on the penalties, the turnovers, all that stuff, and make more exciting games this week. Hopefully, then we all love blowouts, but especially if it's our team that's blowing the other team out.
Right.
But here in the studio, we want the close, exciting games.
Yeah, absolutely. On the Region Sports Network, we want the close, exciting games. So that way you're tuned in, you're on the edge of your seat, like we are just about every single week, ready to go for any of these games on a Friday night. It's fun to be able to bounce around and watch all the games over the course of time as well. We're here at Time and Play watching the games as well, getting things going here. Excited to be back and partner with them yet again for this season. Great venue, great setup. A little different than what I was used to the season before, but we're having a good time. But good to be back alongside you. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some matchups we've got here for week number 2. Let's kick it off with, how about the Andrean 59ers? So close in last week's game against the Maryville Pirates. Talking about a guy who's going to make adjustments. It's Chris Skinner. He's going to be making sure that he's got these guys finally tuned for Bishop Lewis.
Yeah, and the good thing about Andrean is they got a veteran defense coming in. Their secondary is a little bit younger, but they got a veteran front 7, especially at the linebacker position. And with that strong of a defense, your offense has time to catch up.
Right.
The defense is always going to keep them in games.
Andrean won this matchup last year, 13-0, so looking to put up maybe a 0 spot up on the board. Yet again, Bishop Lewis 4-1. They lost to Adams Central last week. Moving on down the line, a game you will see here on the Region Sports Network. Thanks to Heartland, we have Boone Grove taking on South Central. I'm going to go out on a limb and say one of these two teams is going to get their first win of the season.
Yeah, that's you're really.
I am a man of breaking news. Let me tell you.
Need to go to Vegas.
You know what? I don't like my odds there. I like my odds on this one.
But South Central struggled a little bit last week. Boone Grove did, but Boone Grove had the turnover bug. So if you can clean up those turnovers, you're gonna be a tough team to beat.
Yeah, no question about it. Boone Grove won this one last season. I tell you what, though, South Central, they can get a win here. They snap a 12-game losing streak, so they would like to end that losing streak tonight and really kind of shock, I would say, most of Northwest Indiana with a win against Boone Grove. Moving on down the line, how about the Bishop Knoll Warriors? They're taking on Bowman Academy. They did not meet last year, so it's going to be a new meeting here going on. This will be the first game of the season for Bowman Academy, so we'll see how that might work for Rick Good and the Bishop Knoll Warriors, because they've already had a game under their belt. Will that play a factor against Bowman Academy, who was 6-5 last year?
It could. Bowman, they haven't probably been hitting anybody or anything like that. So you have that first game jitters for them, where Bishop Knoll's already got a game in, and they can push the tempo there and hopefully get Bowman back on their heels right at the beginning of the game, and then they can control the pace of the game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Apologies if it's not coming through as we normally would, but trying to make things work here. Hopefully got the audio working, so you can always hold it up a little bit closer, and then during the break I'll take that off and fix that for the guys the technician crew back there. We got Mike Dewan working behind the scenes, trying to make everything work, along with Matthew Kaufman. Excited to have him with the Region Sports Network. Trying to bring the family involved here into the Region Sports Network. All right, moving on down the line, a game that was a little bit of a blowout last year. Calumet Warriors, but they're starting off 0-1 on the year. River Forest starting off 1-0. Should be an interesting battle here between the Ingots and the Warriors.
Yeah, you got a new look Calumet offense. They're not that predominantly running team that you might see throw 2 or 3 times a game. They're gonna throw the ball around the field. So they're getting more excited. They got a lot of speed on that team. I watched them play against Fairfield, and Fairfield runs a wing T offense, so a lot of misdirection there. It gave Calumet fits. Calumet struggled in that game on defense, but offensively they moved the ball. They just couldn't punch it in.
So good battle there between Nick Testa and Terrence Terry. We'll see who comes out on top of that one. We'll have it all for you here on the Region Sports Network. Another one that you're going to see right here on our air. The Chesterton Trojans set to take on the Morton Governors. Now, this was one. I had the Chesterton game last week, and I got to talk to Mark Peterson before the game. And one thing he wanted me to make sure that I knew, and I kind of put through the broadcast, was that this is a young team that's going to be developing over the course of the year. So early on here, we may not see the record that we're used to seeing with Chesterton, but maybe by the end of the year, they're going to be on par with where we've seen, maybe even a little bit better. But we'll see with a young crew that they got this year. They have one returning starter. It's their quarterback, Hunter Boyd.
Yeah, and also opening the season against Hobart's a very tough task, especially now Hobart's
loaded.
They're loaded. They're back. So
no question.
But Chesterton, if they can get ahead of the chains there early on in downs, then they can start being a little more aggressive on offense and slinging the ball over the field. Hunter Boyd's 6'4", something like that, 6'3", 6'4". Incredible arm. He's been working all off season. They got some receivers that can catch the ball. They're young, but they got guys out there that can help the team move the ball downfield. And if they want to score a lot of points, they need to get ahead of the chains. But Morton, their high-powered offense, their biggest issue is, they can't rely on a big play all the time. When they get in the bigger games where they play the Hobarts, the Lowells, and sectionals, they got to be able to march downfield and score. You're not going to get big plays against those teams.
Okay, I see what you're going with that one. Morton Governors number 6 in our RSN poll this week. They took on Portage last week. So this is going to be, it's going to be a young Chesterton team, but I think it's going to be a little different style. So Morton's really going to have to come into this one. Like you said, knowing a Chesterton defense that's always a really solid defense, that's where maybe you're going to have to rely on moving the ball a little more instead of waiting for those big plays that you're talking about.
And it's a very interesting game because Chesterton's a ball control offense and grinded out offense, and Morton's the big play offense. Right. So, Morton gets these big plays and scores and gets up 2 or 3 scores. Now Chesterton's having problems.
Right.
Chesterton grinds the ball. Now Morton's going to be pressing and trying to get these big plays, and sometimes that can backfire on you.
Yeah. So we'll see how that one plays out. Chesterton narrowly won this one last season, 20-19. All right, final one on the first page that we've got here. We've got East Chicago Central taking on West Side. This is always a fun rivalry there between East Chicago and West Side. West Side won it in overtime last year, 28-22. I think we're in for a good one here pretty soon here. And I will say one thing is interesting as well for West Side. In his first season, Mark Hidalgo used to be at East Chicago from 98 to 05. So he knows this East Chicago team a little bit.
Yeah, he knows the system over there and everything like that, but you got to give kudos to East Chicago's staff and all that stuff for putting on the game Saturday with no power, scrambling to get scoreboards and clocks and all that stuff, so the game could go on for both of them teams.
Yeah, after everything that happened back on the 11th, just be able to get football back felt really good. Get the communities out, thinking about something else other than what everybody's dealing with. So, yeah, that's a great testament there on Saturday. There was only 2 games on Saturday last week in Chicago, one of them, and with no power in the stadium as well. Yeah, nice move there. All right, we are going to step aside, but Friday Night Smiles are powered by Ethos Dental Group, whether you're cheering from the stands or watching right here on RSN. Ethos Dental is proud to support our local teams and communities. Ethos Dental Group, keeping the region smiling every Friday night. We're going to keep on smiling on the other side of the break. You're watching Region Sports Network, the only in town.
Get Pulse Technology on your team and score a touchdown with our managed print and copier services. Cover your bases with our IT and technology solutions, or hit a home run with our wide selection of office supplies. Scoreboards or AV solutions from Pulse Technology. That's a slam dunk. Or go for the grand slam with our office furniture and design services. Get in touch with us today. Pulse Technology, powering Indiana business since 1919.
Strack & Van Til for the win with 4 ways to save. Catch price drops on over 15,000 items and check the weekly ad for can't miss deals. Stack on the rewards program for digital coupons, points toward discounts and free products, and power up with our own brands. Keep your budget in the safety zone. Get the same great taste as national labels at lower prices. If you can't taste the difference, why pay the difference? Score big value with 4 ways to save at Strack & Van Til.
Thinking about what to do after high school? Consider a career with Boilermakers Local 374. As a Boilermaker apprentice, you'll earn while you learn. We offer excellent wages and benefits, and as part of our no-cost hands-on apprenticeship program, you'll learn from the best in state-of-the-art training centers and on the job. Become a union Boilermaker and get on your way to a great career. Find out more, visit www.local374.org or call 219-845-1000.
Hi, I'm Crowell Company's Lantern Man. If you're a contractor, it's my job to make your insurance coverage simple and affordable. Because I know time is money, I'll come to your business. Certificates and bonds are a snap. Wherever you are, whatever business you're in, we've got you covered. As Crowell Company's Lantern Man, I'm your insurance superhero.
Crowell Company's Insurance Professionals, Highland, Merrillville, and Michigan City.
From lighting up Friday night football to powering the classrooms that shape the students of Lake County, IBEW Local 697 is proud to support our region's schools and the communities we call home. A career as a union electrician could be your next great move. Your next cap might be a hard hat. IBEW Local 697, powering futures, powering the region.
Welcome back to the Region Sports Network Tailgate Show here on the Region Sports Network. Happy to have you with us. Michael Brennan Mascura alongside. Let's keep on moving through these matchups we're going to see here tonight. I know some of them are getting ready to kick off right about now, so if you want to switch over, we can recommend you tune into that. But if you want to stay right here and figure out who's playing tonight, we got some good analysis to go over as well. All right, let's go with an intriguing matchup that I'm excited to watch a little bit of. How about the Munster Mustangs? For the first time since 2015, is starting 1-0. And actually, Matt, I did a little research here, thanks to John Harrell, their site, absolutely amazing. If you want to know information on high school football, basketball, that is your site. Griffith Panthers, number 5 in our RSN poll, also coming in 1-0. This is the first time since 2006 these two teams will go into week 2 1-0.
That's quite something, considering what Munster's played Lake Central for first game for quite some time.
Right.
Griffith has kind of been in and out with teams for first game of the year because they're always constantly non-conference stuff. But it should be a really good matchup with two really good offenses.
Yeah.
And it's who's going to stop who in that game.
I got to watch the Munster Mustangs last week in that win against Lake Central. I was really impressed with the way Sim Sudak stepped up in that game, both as a quarterback, as a runner as well. Got in on defense, got in on the special teams as well. He was a very impressive player in that game, amongst others that really stepped up in that game as well for the Munster Mustangs. But man, it was a fun game to watch from that perspective. But everybody knows this Griffith Panther team is not your team from just a few years ago. This is a potent offense.
Yeah.
They were scoring 47 points a game last year.
Yeah, they'll probably do it again this year too. You know, forgive me if I'm pronouncing the name wrong, but the running back Nealon, I think he had 5 touchdowns last week. I think that might be close to a school record, if not a school record, from what I can remember. And Griffiths has some great running backs, but it's also been, the wishbone attack. So you had 3-headed monsters scoring people, but 5 touchdowns a game is quite an accomplishment, especially 1 return, 4 rushing.
That's not something you're going to see every day. So that's going to be a really intriguing one over at Munster High School. Let's move on down. We were talking about Munster. Let's talk about Lake Central. They were the team that lost to Munster last week. First time since 2015. They're going into week 2, 0-1. Lake Central's offense was kind of working. The defense probably had some work to do in that game, but they're going to be playing a Hanover Central team. Another intriguing matchup. Number 7 in our RSN poll, beating Michigan City last week, and I don't think anybody was surprised that they beat Michigan City. It was how convincingly they beat Michigan City that I think surprised most people.
Yeah, I mean, yes, Hanover Central, they mixed up the run and pass very well, threw in a lot of play action passes. They had Michigan City on their toes, and a lot of times those DBs didn't know if it was a pass or a run. They were getting beat deep. That could throw some fits for Lake Central's secondary and everything, but you gotta look at Lake Central's combo of Lalich and Verta. I mean, they're probably one of the better quarterback receiver combos in the region.
Oh yeah, there's no question about that. I mean, like Wes Lalich threw over 300 yards last week, so, and then a few of those touchdowns were to Frankie Verta. So that is a combo to keep an eye on. And I'll tell you what, another fun part of this little matchup between Hanover and Lake Central. Coach Bartolomeo, the coach for Hanover, used to coach at Lake Central. Coach Koulianis at Lake Central used to coach at Hanover. So little battle of old coaches with their own stopping grounds. And Coach Koulianis was big and instrumental in kind of getting Hanover football going a little bit there once it started. And of course, Coach Bartolomeo kind of getting things going after some changes over there as well. So intriguing matchup. First time between the two schools here tonight. Moving on down the line, new entrant into our RSN poll, the Wheeler Bearcats. How about them starting 1-0 after going 8-2 a season ago? If I remember correctly, they had to sit out a game. There was some kind of a situation that took place, if I'm remembering that correctly.
Yeah, last year something with homecoming or something.
Yeah, and then they're taking on the Kankakee Valley Cougars. Wheeler won this one 33-7 last year, but see what KB brings a little bit this year. But Wheeler was not in our RSN poll to open things up for the high school football season. Now they're jumping in at number 9.
Yeah, they're brought a lot back on offense. I think their quarterback's a sophomore this year. It might be a sophomore, but he can sling the ball over the field. They got a good running game. With the new coach, he just picks up right where they left off.
Moving on down the line, we've got number 10 in the RSN poll, the Lowell Red Devils. And it's hard to take a team out of the top 10 when you lose to the number 1 team in the area. So the Lowell Red Devils are staying in there. But losing to Crown Point last week, they got the win against the LaPorte Slicers last year, 34-6. That's who they play this week. But LaPorte starting 1-0. This is a LaPorte team that I feel like every year we're always kind of interested. Okay, what is LaPorte football going to look like? Is this a year that maybe they kind of take that step in the next direction and move up in the DAC standings?
I think so. I don't think they're the bottom feeders anymore. That the team that you're somebody's homecoming. LaPorte's been the homecoming team.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's anymore. Last year's senior class set a good culture there, brought some winning ways back, even though they struggled still. But it set the tone for this next group of kids, and they're coming in and they're keeping it rolling. So, and Lowell's got a strong front seven. They shut down Crown Point early on, forced some turnovers, this, that, and the other. But Red Devil football's running the football. Yeah. They just can't be too predictable. If they're forced to throw, they're not going to win very many games. But if they can mix, like Hanover Central, if they can mix the pass and run well, they're going to be a tough out in sectionals.
Yeah, no question about it. By the way, that Hanover Lake Central game is a game you'll see right here on the Region Sports Network. And of course, I'm also curious to see with this Red Devil game, does RDP make the drive out to Slicer Country and make their presence known? I feel like they will. They travel pretty well. That'll be another factor, I think, in this game. It'll be interesting to see. Moving here down the page, we've got Lafayette Jefferson hosting the number 2 Maryville Pirates. Maryville last year played Loyola. So we talk about these non-conference matchups. So sometimes these matchups change week 1 or week 2 depending on how the contracts work. Last year was Loyola Academy of Illinois, and now it's Lafayette Jefferson. So Francis has always got this team rocking and rolling. Is this going to be the year, though? Is there a chance? And we'll see when they get to Crown Point. Is this the year that maybe Maryville overtakes Crown Point, or are we still maybe a year behind? Where are we at on this, do you think?
It's tough. I think now that they're going to probably be playing twice a year more than likely, with Maryville being up in 6A, at least for the next 2 years. I think it's getting to the point where it might be a back and forth. It's not going to be Maryville taking over this series. Maryville is a very good offensive team. Crown Point always reloads on defense, so they're going to be tough. And it all comes down to Maryville's defense. If Maryville's defense can perform, then they're going to be tough. They're going to be a tough out and all that stuff. But if Maryville's defense struggles, Maryville's offense is going to have to perform every week in shootouts.
And I think that Maryville community is just ready for, all the cheering, for something to really be like, this is going to rally around. Because I mean, obviously the storms came through in June for them. They've had their issues with this most recent storm as well. So I feel like the Maryville community could use something really helpful, and it could be the Maryville Pirates in the football program right now.
I mean,
to rally around.
I honestly could almost can attribute this to the Maryville Crown Point thing to like the Cubs and Sox.
Yeah.
Sox could win 10 World Series in a row, and everybody's like, oh, the Sox won. The Cubs win one World Series, and the world ends.
We'll see what comments we get after this comment. Fans going to be tuning in.
Yeah.
Matt Squirrel, you can reach him at 219.
Yeah, but
I know what you're getting at. Yeah.
But it's just the popularity. Maryville's a hot choice. They've been the hot choice for several years. Crown Point just plugs along, does what it needs to do, and they win.
Yeah. I'm ready to see...
Both programs are very successful.
Not that I don't want to see Crown Point do well. I want to see all of our schools do well, but just that Maryville community needs something to rally around right now, and maybe this is going to be it. Hopefully...
yes. A lot of tragedy in that community.
Yeah, with the storms that have come through this summer. It's been a crazy summer with storms, absolutely. All right, and then we got Michigan City. Now, Lafayette Jefferson actually played Michigan City a season ago. Lafayette won that one 46-29. Well, Michigan City kind of took the tough one against Hanover Central, but now they've got a team from Detroit coming in here. Might be the bounce back that Michigan City needs to propel them, because people kind of forget, Michigan City ended last year in the upper echelon of that Duneland Athletic Conference, averaging 27 points a game.
Yeah, this will be an interesting one. We don't know a whole lot about Detroit Cass, but if Michigan City can shore up their tackling on defense, they're going to be tough to beat. They struggle. They miss a ton of tackles. A lot of people diving at lunge tackles instead of wrapping up and driving through the ball carrier against Hanover Central. So and their offense struggled to move the ball. They got big offensive line, but size doesn't win games. You got to perform.
Correct. Friday Night Smiles are powered by Ethos Dental Group. Whether you're cheering from the stands or watching right here on RSN, Ethos Dental is proud to support our local teams and communities. Ethos Dental Group, keeping the region smiling every Friday night. All right, we're going to take one more time out. When we come back, we'll run through the rest of the matchups. We've got some good ones to talk about. We've got Crown Point, Hobart, some other good ones as well. We'll be back on the other side of the break. You're watching the Region Sports Network Tailgate Show on the Region Sports Network, the only in town.
Earn while you learn from the best hands in the business. The Bricklayers Allied Craft Workers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. That's right, this is a paid apprenticeship.
I'm getting an education while learning a trade and getting paid for it.
The thing that surprised me the most about this apprenticeship program is the respect I've received after the proper time and training.
Classes start soon, so apply now. There are training centers throughout Indiana and Kentucky. We are the Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers for Indiana, Kentucky Apprenticeship. The best hands in the business.
At American Testing Services, based in Hobart, Indiana, we specialize in NDT drone inspections and heat treatment services for local mills, fab shops, and facilities across the country. From Northwest Indiana to nationwide, we deliver precision, safety, and reliability. American Testing Services, America's trusted name in NDT.
You ready? Let's go! Yeah. For those of you that want to know what we're all about, it's like this, y'all. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
Your future starts
here.
For months, it's all you've heard about. From the news broadcasts to the talk shows, from friends and family, and even from people you don't even know. It's coming to Hammond. It's really happening. It's free checking from Centier Bank. A perfect account for everyone.
Welcome back to the Region Sports Network Tailgate Show. Michael Renner, Matt Skura alongside Matt Kaufman working the production on the other side of the camera there. All right, we're continuing on here. How about, we've talked about them already. Number one in our RSN poll, a game you'll see right here on the Region Sports Network that I believe has already kind of kicked off. We can switch back and forth. Crown Point Bulldogs, they're taking on Pike, the Red Devils of Pike. Crown Point won last year, 3 touchdowns to nothing. Are we going to expect the same out of this matchup? Just feels like ever since Craig Mazia's got here, it's just been a absolute demonstrative win every single week for Crown Point Bulldogs.
Yeah, you know, they got a new group of Crown Point's got a new group of receivers this year. They all have big play capability. Ethan Zilkowski took a wide receiver screen to the house last week. Running backs, you know, enough said there. Gurnick and Shutt, they're 2 studs. But Crown Point needs to cut down on mistakes, the penalties, the turnovers, and everything like that. They took control in the second half against Lowell and just dominated Lowell. And the defense is just, it seems like they just lose Division I athletes and they just plug in somebody else and it keeps rolling.
Yeah,
but Pike, yeah.
The machine keeps on moving. It's well oiled.
You're right. The machine keeps moving. Pike, you know, they're high-powered offense, a lot of speed. Zionsville forced, I think, 5 or 6 turnovers of Pike last week. Scored most of their points off a short field, so hopefully Crown Point can do that again this week.
I'm looking at the game.
It looks like
it looks like Crown Point's already up ahead on the game 6-0.
Yeah, kicking the PAT with 7 minutes left in the first.
So, yeah, we've got Stratton Pantel hometown scoreboard update, and the PAT. Nope, we have a flag on the play. So, but 6-0 already. Crown Point up ahead on Pike. So, see how this one develops again right here on the Region Sports Network. Another game we got here on the Region Sports Network. Number 3 in the RSN poll. How about the Hobart Brickies? Talk about a team that is loaded this year. I was very impressed with this team watching them last week. Just things were clicking on all cylinders for them, taking on the Portage Indians tonight.
Yeah, I think Hobart's probably the offense to watch this year.
Yeah.
You know, they have one of the best, if not the best quarterback in the NCC for sure, if not the region, in Tatum. He's just a stud. They move the ball. They got a great defense. Play solid defense. You know, Portage. They're still working their way back to being Portage of old, Portage of the 90s.
Yeah.
You know, but they got, 2 tough games to begin the year. It's hard to get kids motivated, I guess you could say. I mean, they're motivated to play Hobart. Everybody gets motivated to play Hobart, but you lose your first 2 games and you're down on yourselves already. When you can't be that way, it's a process.
Yeah, you have to kind of grow with it, which is what Chesterton was kind of feeling as well
right.
going into this season. Got to grow with that, and Portage looking to snap a 12-game losing streak as well. So that's something that's weighing behind you as well. But Cody French, I think, is going to be a great resource for that. I think he's going to be a great opportunity for the Portage Indians going forward with this program. Eric Schreiber, the same concept with
Griffith guy.
Where he's been before, when I was doing prep for the game last week, he has built programs. He's brought schools that maybe had 30, 40 guys on a roster and bringing it up into the 80s.
He did it at Westside.
Yeah, he's got kids buying into this program. And one thing that I think people kind of forget, any of these schools have these opportunities or have these situations where maybe some of the best athletes in your school aren't even playing because they have to do something else, like work a job for their families, whatever the situation may be. So maybe trying to get those kids to come out and trying to figure out a way to still support them, that's a huge get. And guys like Eric Schreiber are doing that type of thing. And it's incredible to watch.
Yeah, and he's young where everybody knows he's going to be there until he wants to leave.
Right. Yeah, and I highly doubt he's looking for
No,
anything right now.
it's a premier coaching job.
Yeah, with the college that they've got going on over there as
Yeah,
well.
unless like Center Grove or somebody like that comes calling, but
Yeah, I feel like he's going to be a Homer guy through.
yeah, but he's a region guy. He's a region guy, region family.
Also coached under his dad and was an assistant coach under Craig Kazia as well. So wants to probably stay in the region. That's going to be produced by Heartland as well. We'll have it through the Region Sports Network, so another game you can see here. All right, moving down the line, the Valparaiso Vikings. They're looking for a bounce-back win after their loss to Penn last week. They're taking on South Bend Riley. South Bend Riley played Fort Wayne last season. In this Week 2 matchup, Valparaiso played Chicago Rice out of Illinois, so they lost that one. But still in our RSN Top 10 poll at number 8, so still looking for that bounce-back win, and they're going to get it. I don't think this is the same Valpo team that we saw last season, going 2-8, averaging 19 points a game.
No, this is a better Valpo team. There's a lot of teams that are going to struggle against Penn. Penn's loaded this year. They're better than last year's team. That quarterback was throwing the ball over the field. He threw for over 300 yards. I think they had a receiver that had over 200 yards receiving. The backside of Valpo's defense was a little struggled a little bit, but their front seven held their own against Penn's run. They gave up 49 points, but they gave up 35, I believe, in the first half. But a lot of those were off of short fields. I think Valpo gave up a pick 6 or something like that, or then they fumbled where Penn had a short field. But the Valpo quarterback he's tough. He's going to be tough.
Team is coached by Bill Marshall, always tough teams. So I think we're going to see a bounce back from that 2-8 season last year. How about Hammond Central? They beat TF South last year, 42-12. That's who they got again this week, the Red Wolves. And I think these Wolves, Hammond Central Wolves, they're going 2-0 after going 0-10 last year.
Yeah, there's excitement over there. They've had a lot of turnover with coaches over the years.
Yeah.
A lot of guys came in and, I hate to say it this way, but probably use Hammond Central as a stepping stone to move on to the job that they wanted. But the guy they got now is the guy they want, and he's doing wonders in that program.
Yeah, went 0-10 last year. Rick Bailey already 1-0 on the season this year. Final one on the docket, you got the Highland Trojans taking on the Whiting Oilers. This is always a fun one. Highland got the win 28-13 a season ago. Highland had a tough one against Griffith last week. That's always a fun rivalry as well. Whiting with Coach Hudak, and then Highland with Coach McCormick. Both guys have always been really great with the Region Sports Network, but this will be an interesting one as well, Highland versus Whiting.
Yeah, Hudak's got new life into that Whiting program. They looked really good against North Newton. I mean, North Newton's not a powerhouse, but we'll see after this week. If they beat Highland, we can say Whiting's going to not be back, but they have a potential to do some damage in the GSS.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, that wraps up our coverage here. A reminder again, through Heartland, we have got Boone Grove South Central here on the Region Sports Network, along with Chesterton and number 6 Morton. We've also got number 7 Hanover Central taking on Lake Central. Not to mention here on the Region Sports Network, we've got Pike and Crown Point. That game already in action. And then, of course, through Heartland as well, we've also got the Hobart Rickies taking on the Portage Indians. So plenty of action coming your way here for Week 2 of the high school football season. Go ahead, change to one of the other games or go between other ones. Get a little quad box going. It'll be great.
All your devices, the devices
get them all
going.
Get the iPads and the phones and all that going. It'll be fun. We're going to have that here at Diamond Flake. So if you want to come in and join us, we'll be happy to sit down and watch some games if you can talk some.
They got some nice cold beverages here.
Yeah, you got the soda going on over there. Not too bad. All right, so Week 2 coming your way. Kickoff on the other side of the break. You are watching the Tailgate Show here on the Region Sports Network, the only game in town.
Calling all current and future homeowners in the Northwest Indiana area. Whether you're buying or selling, Brent Wright is here to make your real estate journey smooth and successful. With years of experience, personalized service, and a deep knowledge of the market, Brent will help you find the perfect place or get the best deal for your property. Call today at 219-406-7195 and take the first step towards your real estate goals. Contact Brent Wright, the right way to buy and sell real estate.
Flip the switch, a light turns on. Press the button, machines and instruments come to life. Touch the screen, communicate with the world. Simple tasks, guaranteed results, every second of every day. That's the power of power. And that's the power brought to you by the NECA contractors and electrical workers of Local 531.
At Athletic Performance Factory in Highland, Indiana, we push you to be bigger, faster, stronger, more explosive. Challenge every muscle with our cutting-edge sand speed and agility training. Build rock-solid strength and core stability to dominate on game day. Rent our full-size outdoor turf field for team workouts and practices. Improve your swing, boost your field skills, and protect your arm with expert one-on-one baseball and softball training built around you. We develop the entire athlete, mentally and physically. Athletic Performance Factory, where athletes are made.
At Blyce, we're used to having the athlete shop at our store.
Down, sit, put.
But sometimes they get carried away. Blyce, this is where the athlete shops.
Welcome to Diamond Plate, your new go-to sports bar with a casual vibe and elevated ballpark favorites. Dig into hand-breaded chicken tenders, juicy burgers, build your own pizzas, and don't forget our full bar stocked with local favorites and everyday classics. Located inside Athletic Performance Factory. Diamond Plate brings the fun with multi-sport simulators, duck-pin bowling lanes, plus party space for birthdays, holidays, company outings, and fundraisers. Diamond Plate, where every bite, every sip, and every play is a win.